Welcome to the Calcutta Race's Autumn Meeting 2021, 4th day Saturday, 27 November 2021 race preview. The first race of the afternoon is the Fly Like the Wind handicap for horses rated 1 to 26 to be run over a distance of 1200 meters. The first runner we are looking at is number 1, Anika. Anika had 3 starts in the monsoon season. It placed 4th in his first 2 starts. In his next start in race number 50, Anika was travelling in second spot but then weakened slightly and finished on third. The winner here was Indian Tiger, who won that race by almost 2 3/4 of a length. Next up we got 2 runners here, number 3 Mose and number 5 Blue Wings. In race number 1, Mose was travelling in 4th spot, did not make any further improvement, finished on 4th of 6 runners. And number 5 Mr. Blue Wings, who was travelling in 5th spot, made no further improvement, finished on 5th over a distance behind the winner. Next up we got number 4 Tasmania. Tasmania had couple of starts in the monsoon season, finished on 3rd in each of his 2 starts. First, it finished on 3rd behind Shivalik Silk in race number 14. In its next start, the one we are looking at in race number 40, it was leading the pack and then weakened and finished on 3rd, almost 10 lengths from the winner, which was Trebia. Next up, we got number 6 Tahoe. Tahoe had couple of starts in the monsoon season where it finished on 4th on each of his 2 starts. In the first race of the season, in race number 2, Tahoe was travelling in second spot, then fought on for the second position and got that the place money by a head, and the winner here was Wandering Angel. Number 7 is Sun God. Sun God had 3 starts in the monsoon season. It was unplaced in each of his 3 starts. In his last start in race number 49, Sun God was travelling in 4th spot as they entered the home straight, as you can see in the navy blue jacket, but then dropped back and finished on 5th. The winner here was Kogial, who won that race by a widening margin of 7 1/4 lengths. Lastly, we got number 8, Ayana. Ayana had couple of starts and finished on 8th of each of his 2 starts. In race number 118, Ayana was in 5th spot as they turned for home and then weakened and finished on last of 8 runners. And the winner here was Berluti. It was noted after the race that Ayana had burst his blood vessels. We move on to the second race of the afternoon, the Cameron handicap for horses rated 41 to 66, rated 21 to 46 in class 3 over 1200 meters. The first 2 runners we are looking at is number 1, Harbour Sunrise. Harbour Sunrise had 4 starts in the monsoon season where it placed in couple of starts. In his last start, Harbour Sunrise was travelling in 4th spot, but when the race came to a boil, Harbour Sunrise fell back very rapidly and finished on 7th of 7 runners. In this race, we also had number 5, Memorable Memories, who was travelling in 5th spot, was a little slow to get away from the gates, then made up that ground but finished on 5th eventually behind Dandi Satyagraha. Next up, we got number 2, Exotic Queen. After coming down from Western India, Exotic Queen was installed the favourite in race number 45, where it was travelling in 3rd spot throughout, and then in the last 200 meters, Exotic Queen came under pressure and weakened slightly and finished on 4th in a clustered finish. And the winner here was Phoenicia Mist, who went on a start to finish mission and won that race very easily. Next up we got number 3, Foolproof. Foolproof had quite a few starts in the monsoon season without placing in any of them. In its first start in the winter track in race number 4, Foolproof was travelling in 10th spot as they entered the home straight, but made some late gains and finished on 8th. The winner here was Camila, who won that race by almost 3 parts of a length. Next up, we got 2 runners here. Number 4, Sheer Force. Sheer Force, after winning a race in the previous season in race number 125, beating Oakbrook, was unplaced in his two starts in the monsoon season. In race number 53, it ran ninth of 10 runners after being in a forward position in most of the race. Number 7 was Summer Rare. Summer Rare was travelling in 5th spot as they took the turn, then made some late gains and was in a ding-dong battle for the minor placing and got that by a neck and got the place money. Number 6 is Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch had 4 starts in the monsoon season. Its best start was his last start, where it went over 1600 meters in race number 37. It was travelling in 3rd spot but made some late gains and finished on 2nd. The winner here was Redoubtable, who won that race by a widening margin of 8 lengths. Next up, we got number 8, Namiki. Namiki, who skipped the monsoon season. The runs we are looking at is from the winter season in the previous year. Number 8, Namiki, last raced in race number 66 over 2,400 meters, where it was travelling in 6th spot as they turned for home, then made up a place and finished on 5th of 6 runners. And the winner here was Avellino, who won that race by almost 2 lengths. Lastly, we look at number 9, Cliffs of Capri. Cliffs of Capri had 3 starts in the monsoon season. Its last start in race number 34. Cliffs of Capri was travelling in a forward position, but into the last 200 meters, weakened and finished on 4th of 10 runners. The winner here was East Side, who won that race by almost length and 3/4. We move on to the third race of the afternoon, the Kariba Handicap for horses rated 41 to 66, 21 to 46, eligible to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. The first runner we're looking at is number 1, Shivalik Gold, who's got back-to-back wins. First it won in race number 35, where it beat Indian Tiger. In its next start in race number 41, the one we are looking at, Shivalik Gold was travelling in 3rd spot in very murky weather, but took charge into the last 250 meters and kept on galloping in front about length and a half clear. And the late finishing horse was Lemark, who bridged the gap late. Next up, we got 3 runners. Number 2, Samshir Sod, who was racing in front but weakened into the last 250 and finished on 7th eventually. We also had number 3, Top Notch, who was travelling in 8th spot, travelled a little wide throughout, then finished on 8th of 9 runners. Number 6 was Eastern Crown, who took charge briefly and led the field, but into the last 100 meters got weak a little bit and finished on 3rd. The winner here was Daring Heart, who came with a late charge and got that race by 3 parts of a length. Number 4 is D Night Mysore. D Night Mysore, after winning its last start in the monsoon season in race number 53, in its last start, D Night Mysore took charge and was leading the pack into the last 250, but Dundee Satyagraha, who weaved a passage towards the inside, took charge, and D Night Mysore had to settle for 3rd spot, about 3 lengths from the winner. Number 5 is Agrami. After coming down from Western India, Agrami was installed the favourite in race number 34 in the monsoon season, where it was travelling in 5th spot. When asked for an effort, Agrami was found a little flat-footed and finished on 5th of 10 runners. The winner here was East Side, who won that race by about a length and 3/4. Number 7 is Nova, another horse which is looking for a hat-trick. Nova won in race number 134, where it beat D Night Mysore. In its only start in the monsoon season, Nova was travelling in 4th spot, then got a passage towards the inside and shot into the lead into the last 250 meters, and Ember Glow could only finish 2nd, almost 2 3/4 of a length. Next up, we got 3 runners here. Number 8, Lemark. Lemark, after finishing 2nd and 3rd in its first 2 starts in the monsoon season in race number 4, Lemark was travelling in 7th spot, made some late gains and eventually finished on 5th. We also had number 10, Atom. Atom was travelling in 2nd spot, was chasing the runaway leader, but then weakened and finished on 9th of 10 runners. In this race, we also had number 11, Divine Chakra. Divine Chakra was racing in the wrong end of the field as they turned for home and weakened further, finished on 10th of 10 runners. The winner here was Camila, who won that race by 3 parts of a length. Next up, we got number 9, Naughty Oak. Naughty Oak has had couple of starts, and first start it went over 1600 meters where it finished on 4th behind Cliffhanger. In its next start in race number 125, it was travelling in 4th spot, then weakened and finished on 7th behind Sheer Force. It did skip the monsoon season, so its first start now in the new season. We move on to the 4th race of the afternoon, the AA Upcar Cup for horses rated 81 and above, rated 61 to 86, eligible to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. Couple of runners we got. Number 1, Silver Bracelet. Silver Bracelet, after winning a race in race number 12, it finished on 3rd in its next 2 start. In its first start of the season, Silver Bracelet briefly took charge as they entered the home straight, but then weakened and finished on 3rd. The winner here was Soaring High. And we also had number 2, Aureka Legend. Aureka Legend was travelling in 2nd spot, then weakened and finished on 5th of 8 runners, almost 6 lengths from the winner. Next up, we got number 3, Jayavant. Jayavant was a winner in its first start in race number 12. In its next 2 starts, it finished on 3rd and 2nd respectively. In the first only start it had in the monsoon season, Jayavant was travelling in 7th spot, did not make any further improvement, finished on 6th of 9 runners. The winner here was Silver Bracelet, and Jayavant is by Win Legend out of Validate. Next up, we are looking at number 4, Reno Star. Reno Star's the run we are looking at is from Hyderabad, and this was over 1600 meters in race number 43, where it was travelling in 6th spot, then took charge into the last 150 meters and got that race, got the better of Soviet Pride, won that race by almost 2 lengths. Next up, we got 2 runners here. Number 5, Malwa. Malwa had 3 starts in the monsoon season, placed in its first 2 starts, second each time. In his last start of the season in race number 42, Malwa was travelling in 4th spot, found a little flat-footed and finished on 4th. We also had number 7, Sea of Cortez, who's on a hat-trick here, won in race number 31, beating finisher missed in his last start. Sea of Cortez got the better of Kimaya by almost length and a 3/4. Next up, we got number 6, Pontius Pilot. Pontius Pilot, after coming down from Hyderabad, has had 3 starts so far. A couple of starts in the monsoon season where it finished on 3rd in its first start in race number 4. Next up, it finished on 4th behind Mountain Lion. In its last start, Pontius Pilot in race number 12 was travelling in last spot, did not make any further improvement and finished on 7th of 7 runners. The winner here was Jake, who won that race by a widening margin of almost 10 lengths. We move on to the 5th race of the afternoon, the Mayfowl Cup for horses rated 4-year-old and over, to be run over a distance of 1400 meters. First runner we are looking at is number 1, Consigliere. After coming down from Hyderabad, Consigliere has had couple of starts, first in race number 36 where it finished on 2nd to Awesome One. In its next start, it was a little slow to begin and finished on 5th eventually behind My Opinion. We also had number 5, Shivans, who was travelling in front, led the pack till to the last 200 meters, then was hanging a little bit and eventually finished on 3rd. The winner here was My Opinion. Couple of runners we're looking at. Number 2, Awesome One, who's on a hat trick here, won in race number 36, beating Consigliere. In its next start, Awesome One took charge into the last 200 meters in race number 52, was hanging in a little bit but still got the measure of Aureka Legend. And we also had number 4, Rainbow Trout, who won 4 races in a row, but in his last start, Rainbow Trout perhaps needed that run, was travelling in 8th spot as they entered the home straight, made some lead gains but could only finish on 5th of 8 runners. The winner here was Awesome One. Next up, we got number 3, Violin. Violin, after winning in race number 21 over 1600 meters, beating Malwa. In its next start, Violin was installed the favourite, but when asked for an effort into the home straight in over 1100 meters, Violin was warming up, but the race was almost over by then. It could only finish on 4th of 8 runners. The winner here was Soaring High. We move on to the sixth race of the afternoon, the first classic of the season, the Orion Horse Company Calcutta 1000 Guineas 2021 Grade 3 for Indian fillies 3-year-old only, to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. The first runner we are looking at is number 1 Aretha. The run we are looking at is from Madras in race number 120, where Aretha was leading the pack and kicked away from the field, won that race by almost 5 and 3/4 lengths, beating Visakha. And Aretha is by Win Legend out of Wind of Soul. Aretha had a recent mock race where it went around the track all by itself and clocked a very decent timing, got a feel of the track. Next up we got number 2 Kogial. Kogial is by 10 star out of Shades of White after placing second in his first start in race number 40 behind Trebia. In his last start in race number 49 over 1400 meters, Kogial won that race by taking charge into the last 250 and won that race by a widening margin of 7 1/4 lengths, beating Secret Pearl. Next up we got number 3 Delphini. Delphini won couple of races in race number 68, then in race number 109. Then it went over 1400 meters in the Fillies Trial Stakes, where it got beaten by Scruples and finished on second. In his last start, Delphini was travelling in third spot, then weakened and finished on 7th in the Derby. And we also had number 6 Scruples, who was the winner of the Calcutta Fillies Trial Stakes over 1400 meters in the Derby trip. It finished on 4th behind Oasis, almost 7 lengths behind the winner. Number 4 is Euphrates, is by Phoenix Star out of Age of Magic. Euphrates placed in his first 2 starts of the monsoon season. In his next start over 1400 meters, Euphrates took charge into the last 250 and won that race, staving off the challenge of Adonica, beat it by about half a length. Lastly, we got number 5 Camilla Roderick O'Connor out of My Lakshmi after coming down from Western India, where it won its first start in race number 152, beating Alfaiz. In its first start over 1400 meters, Camilla was racing in 4th spot as they entered the home straight. The runaway leader, Legendary Striker, slowed down and Camilla got the measure of it and won that race by almost 3/4 of a length. We move on to the 7th race of the afternoon, the Wilbur Valley Handicap for horses rated 21 to 46, rated 1 to 26, eligible to be run over a distance of 1600 meters. The first runner we are looking at is number 1 Whistleblower. After winning a race in the monsoon season over 1600 meters, where it got the better of Intellection in his first start of the winter season, Whistleblower was travelling in 6th spot, made some late gains and finished on 4th. The winner here was Daring Heart, who got that race in the last ride, winning by almost 3/4 of length. Next up we got number 2 Rakshaki. Rakshaki is perhaps one of the most experienced horses here in its couple of starts in the season so far. First it finished on 5th behind Sea Lion in race number 3. In its last start it was racing in the wrong end of the field but made some gains and finished on 6th of 7 runners. The winner here was the Protector, who won that race by almost length and a quarter. Next up we got number 3 Intellection. Intellection was racing in 2nd spot as they entered the home straight and flattered for a while, but Whistleblower, who came up with a run and took charge, beat Intellection by almost 5 lengths, and Intellection had to settle for 2nd spot. And today Intellection is ridden by visiting jockey S01. Number 4 is Swiss Tardo. Swiss Tardo, after coming down from southern India, it had a run in race number 39 where it was travelling in 4th spot. Then into the last 250 meters it warmed up and got the measure of Donica, and into the last 100 meters Swiss Tardo left the field standing for cold, won that race by almost 9 3/4 of a length. Next up we are looking at the run for Wandering Angel. After winning in race number 2, the start we are looking at in race number 9, Wandering Angel was a little tardy out of the gates, and then the jockey got dismounted and left back in the gates. Wandering Angel went around the course without the jockey. The winner here was Ember Glow, and who won that race by a good margin. Next up, we got number 6, Basharat. Basharat won a race in the monsoon season, and race number 15 got the measure of Indian Tiger. The run we are looking at is in this season where Basharat was travelling in 6th spot, made some late gains and came up with a run and eventually finished on 2nd. And the winner here was Sea Lion. Next up, we got number 7, Third Avenue. Third Avenue is by Ampere out of Avant-Garde. Its first start of his career, Third Avenue went on a start-to-finish mission over 1600 meters, was briefly challenged by the horse which eventually finished second, Deemed to Fire, but Third Avenue kept finding more and kept it at bay, won that race eventually by a long neck. Next up, we got the Indicator. The Indicator had a few runs before it got into the winning enclosure in its last start in race number 27. It was travelling in second last spot, being urged by the jockey throughout, then into the last 100 meters or so took charge and won that race, beating Criteria, who came way too late and fell short by almost 2 lengths. The Indicator was ridden by C.S. Jodha that day, today being ridden by C. Umesh. Number 9 is Ansiger. Ansiger, after being unplaced in his first start and his last start, the Ansiger was travelling in 6th spot as they entered the home straight, then came out on the wide outside and got that race in the dying stages, beating Wandering Angel, who seemed good for most of the race, but then Ansiger got the measure of it and won that race by almost 3 parts of a length. Number 10 is the Unstoppable. Unstoppable hasn't done much until its last race, where it was languishing in the wrong end of the field, was hanging in, met some interference into the last 200 meters, then got a passage towards the inside and actually was the fastest moving horse into the last 100 meters. But the winner Adonica had already stolen a march and Unstoppable eventually finished on 2nd. Number 11 is Southern Light. Southern Light, after coming down from Madras, Southern Light was installed as the favourite, was travelling in 2nd spot, and then when asked for an effort, was challenged by Criteria. Southern Light tried to fight on but had to settle for 2nd spot as the Criteria took charge and went clear. Lastly, we got number 12, Gusty Look. Gusty Look has had quite a few starts, hasn't yet placed in any of its starts. In his last start, Gusty Look was travelling in 10th spot, made up a place and eventually finished on 9th of 10 runners. Gusty Look is by Gutso out of Radical Attraction, today being ridden by Amin Merchant. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.